Hey everybody, Have a Tisue podcast, guest number 14, Sergeant Morgan Weibel. I have him here on the monologue listening to it for the first time ever. This is unique. He's a Marine Sergeant, E5. I met him as a corporal, and I even got to be there for his promotion ceremony. We talk about his upbringing and why he joined the Marine Corps. We talked about his experience with the Air Force here at Kunsan Air Base for an entire year, and I even asked him about the differences between the Air Force and the Marines and like senior leadership, different opinions, all sorts of different stuff. He shares his ideas and his philosophies of just being a good person and those concepts of like how you need to just care about other people more than yourself once in a while. Some of this is a little drawn out because Morgan and I are friends, and we just talk as two friends would talk while sharing a bottle of whiskey. Regardless, this is about a 2-hour conversation between me and Morgan. He's here drinking his whiskey right now. This is the first time I've done a monologue, as you can hear him. And I hope you enjoy this podcast that we've already recorded. Morgan, what do you think they're going to think?
I think they're going to love it.
Well,
yeah,
they're either going to love it or they're not.
Yeah.
One of two things.
If you're not, you're probably a staff NCO.
All right, well, enjoy our conversation.
Yeah.
Bye. After about 2 months of saying let's do this, I leave in 48 hours-ish. Well, at least I move out of this room in 48 hours.
Sad face.
I'm moving out. I appreciate it. But then I got Morgan Weibel, a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. He's going to be episode number 14 is where you're at. I know your lucky number's like 1307, really random number.
Yeah, I'll explain more about that
Yeah,
later.
yeah, I hope you do. So we have exactly 2 hours and 15 minutes total recording time to talk about whatever we want.
Nice.
Before I let you introduce yourself, he is one of the first Marines ever to come to Korea and get rated with the Air Force. One of the first two in Korea in Kunsan to do it. Osan went first, and we got you and Corporal Sergeant Aracho now. And so, yeah, that's Morgan Weibel. That's what I find like is most interesting about him. Usually, like I said, I try to get like leaders and important people, and you are important, but also you have this really interesting story where you spent a year with us Air Force people. So I'm excited to talk about that. And before we get any further, let me have you introduce yourself.
Well, yeah, as you guys heard, my name is Morgan Weibel. I was born in Los Angeles, California, and I lived there all 18 years of my young child life. And you know, at 18, I decided to enlist in the United States Marine Corps because I felt that I needed a different path. I was kind of going nowhere like in high school. You know, when you're growing up in high school, you are searching for an identity. You're searching for a role to fit into, a place to belong. And, you know, growing up, everybody always says, like, and especially in the 21st century, the importance of, like, a college education and doing well academically it's at the forefront of people's minds, you know? And that was not a standard that I was living up to. During my sophomore and junior year of high school, I'd really screwed around and messed a lot of things up. So come the end of junior year, I met my recruiter, and because he came to a school event one day, and we started talking, and I decided, not then and there, but over the course of a few months, I decided that perhaps joining the military would be a better option for me on a personal level, because it would give me certain values and abilities that I could take into the real world and, you know, be successful with. And so that's kind of how I got here. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff transpired that we'll go over in more detail as this podcast goes on. But eventually, I found myself with the opportunity to come to Korea and work with the Air Force. And it's been a wild ride the past year. It's been crazy.
We will get to that. I have a lot of things to ask about that. That's what I'm most excited to talk about. So you said you were messing up in high school. What kind of dumb things were you doing?
Well, if I ever, for the sake of being able to still get a top secret security clearance, if I ever need one, I don't want to say everything. It's not going to be the full scoop, but I was not doing my homework at all. Like, I would come home from school every day, flip on the TV, or like go and hang out with my friends, and I would just be like, screw homework, that shit doesn't matter, you know? So there was a lot of that. There was just a lot of general laziness being demonstrated. And I was hanging out with some friends who prioritized like partying and whatnot, and I hung out with them. I hung out with them a lot in my free time, and they didn't really care about school or their education either. And that attitude kind of seeped off onto me. And my mom, she raised me as a single mother. She had primary custody. I would visit my dad every other weekend, and because my mom was raising me as a single mother, she works at UCLA. She works a full-time job. So like from the hours of like 3 p.m. when I got off school to about 6 p.m. or so, sometimes even as late as 8 p.m. I would just be alone in the apartment because she wouldn't get off work until then, and it would take her a while to like take the bus back home. And so I would just have like 3 to 5 hours every day like to myself when I could get away with basically whatever I wanted. And I was not using that time wisely for the most part.
That's fair, but you probably also learned some cool things that other people who had their parents with them all the time don't know or didn't learn as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a positive side to it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a lot more comfortable on my own in solitude sometimes because, like I said, even though I had some friends, I was not a popular kid in high school. I was not a popular kid growing up. In fact, I got bullied a lot when I was younger. So I was very, very like I had to get very, very comfortable sometimes with being alone and being in solitude. In some ways, it was better that way than actually interacting with people. But my attitude about that has changed a lot as I've grown up and gone through my enlistment and made new friends and decided to like set boundaries as far as people are concerned.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel like the Marines taught you to do that. Military taught you to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something I'm still working on, especially the setting boundaries part. Like people are always going to try and encroach on you to get closer and find ways to take advantage of you. So you really do have to. You sometimes still have to be on your guard, and you have to be cognizant of that. Like not everybody is coming to you with the best of intentions. It's something to be aware of. But I will say that because of my enlistment and because of the experiences I've had thus far, like I'm much more familiar with that. I can sense it easier now. Yeah. It's but like I said, it was being in solitude sometimes. It helped me a lot because being 3 to 5 hours a day, sometimes spent alone. It was a weird transition to here because like when you are living in a foreign country, especially Korea or Japan, and you're going out and you want to do something, like it's easier for me to just like walk off base and just do it on my own, instead of like having to look for somebody to do it with or not feeling safe about it, because I recently took a 9-day trip up to Seoul alone, and I got to say it was honestly really, really fun. Like I saw a couple of it was when I first got there. It was like a Friday night, and it was the weekend. I had taken the train up there alone from Gunsan, and I arrived at Seoul Station. Took a taxi to my hotel alone, threw in my bags in my hotel room, and basically as soon as I did that, I just started going out on my own and just doing whatever. Later on throughout the weekend, like a couple friends from the RapCon were there actually, and they decided to meet up with me, and we all hung out and had a good time. But I was also simultaneously very, very comfortable just doing my own thing and exploring this place on my own. Yeah.
That's really cool. Me and Langford talked about traveling and then traveling alone separately. And there's something special about traveling alone that I first learned when I was at NCOA. So this was not that long ago, Non-Commissioned Officer Academy. This was 2018.
Yeah.
I like never wanted to travel alone. I don't think I had even traveled alone at that point in my life. And then we went on this group trip, me and John Hopper, Corey Keaton, and someone else. I should know his name. Paul. I forget his first name. But we all went on this trip together to Switzerland. We took my camper van there. We were going to go camping for the 3-day weekend. Mm-hmm.
and John hop. We go to Switzerland. We go into the city, and as soon as we like park and get off the bus, I guess we didn't drive because we were drinking. John, we all started walking one way, and Hopper was like, "All right, I'll see you guys later." He just walked his own way, right? And I was just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
like I was like really confused, like, "Oh, maybe he's mad at us."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 27, 28 at this time.
Yeah,
the dude just walked off on his own. I was like, maybe he's going through something. I don't know. He did it very confidently. I'll let him go, and we hung out together. We were kind of arguing about what we should do next, where we wanted to go, what bar and restaurant we should eat at.
Yeah.
And then 8 hours later, we meet up with Hopper. I'm like, "Hey, man, what'd you do?" He's like, "Oh, I did this. I went hiking up this mountain."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Why'd you go off on your own?" I just got to ask. He's like, "Oh, I don't know. You guys just seemed undecisive on what you wanted to do. I'm never going to be in Switzerland again without my wife.
Yeah.
I wanted to go see stuff." And so like, I thought that was super interesting. And I talked to him for like an hour about like just being by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized like that is a fun way to do it. And I started traveling by myself more often after that.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you prefer that almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah. In many ways I do prefer that because there's no social pressure to do things that you don't want to do.
Yep.
Like a friend of mine was telling me about his experience when he was in Seoul, and he went up there with one of his own friends, and they were in the district of Itaewon, which is a very like tourist heavy, foreigner heavy district of Seoul. So it doesn't, in some ways, it doesn't even feel like Korea because you'll walk down Itaewon's main street and there's Turkish kebab spots and Nike's
tacos.
Yeah, tacos.
It's America Street.
Yeah, it's America Street. That's basically what it is. Yeah, it's like the opposite of K-Town in LA.
Yep.
It's America Town. Yeah,
in Korea.
In Korea, yeah, it's awesome. It's really awesome. But all this person, so my friend was really like down with exploring and hanging out and seeing all these cool things in Itaewon and the rest of Seoul. However, it was a 4-day weekend. The only thing the other friend wanted to do was go out at night and party like crazy, like party hard. So being the nice guy that he is, he decided like, okay, yeah, I will humor you. We will go out and we will drink, but as long as we get to also do like touristy stuff. Unfortunately for him, his friend constantly got like super wasted every night and was extremely hungover well into the afternoon of every day. So that kind of wasted a lot of time that could have been spent exploring, unfortunately. So that is one reason why sometimes I prefer to travel in solitude, because I don't want something like that holding me back from doing what I want to do. Because our time in this foreign country is limited. You want to spend it the right way. You don't want to be you don't want to be spending it constantly hungover. That's not fun. Yeah.
It is to some people.
Yeah.
Everyone's different, so you got to find people. Either go by yourself or find people that you get along with. My friend Alex, he's like a year older than me and maybe 2 years older than me. And we would travel a lot together in Europe, and he would like to do a lot of things that I wasn't really fond of, like seeing sites and the tourist stuff. And I usually didn't want to do that, but then towards the end, I was like, actually, I really kind of enjoy this stuff. So sometimes traveling with people that are different than you, that make you do these things you don't want to do, you learn something from it. And then I was more of that, like, let's go camping on like these exotic trips where you're kind of stuck isolated with a bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
And he like kind of liked that, but that wasn't his thing. So
yeah,
it's like a little give and take.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely something that you can learn from. There are things you can learn and take away from traveling with a group of people. Like I had the inverse experience when I went to Osaka one weekend with a group of friends. That is very strong whiskey, by the way.
Yeah.
We're drinking it neat. That's very strong stuff. It's good though.
You can get some ice and Coke if you prefer it.
I will probably get a couple splashes of water in it. That's how I prefer it. It opens up the flavor a bit. Anyway, yeah. So I was in Osaka one weekend, and
I'll try anything twice.
Oh yeah. That's like perfect right there. It's like a tiny sip. Yeah. And anyway, I was there and I was with my buddies. We were drinking a lot. We were having a good time. I traveled there alone because I totally messed up and bought a plane ticket for the day prior because they were planning on flying out on a Saturday night, and I flew out on a Friday night. So I flew out there, got a hostel alone, and as soon as I walk in to the hostel, I met these really, really awesome Canadian people, and they were like, "Hey, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm American. I'm in the Marine Corps." Blah blah blah. And so that was kind of like the icebreaker. That was the icebreaker. We got to talking, and eventually we all went out drinking. And by pure chance, I ended up seeing some of the air traffic maintenance guys walking around the same convenience stores.
Here?
No, in Osaka. Yeah. But I saw them, and we all just linked up. And we started having a good time, and we went bar hopping, and I'm not
pre-COVID.
Yeah, this was pre-COVID. This was May 2019, around there. Yeah, and it was just a really good experience because when you do something like that, like bar hopping or clubbing, you wanna have a group of people with you, because there's something slightly animalistic about being in a club and being in a bar. You want to be there with a pack. It makes you feel more secure, more safe, and sharing drinks with your friends is a lot better than just sitting there drinking alone. That's not fun. Yeah,
I couldn't imagine going to a club by myself.
Yeah,
I'd be getting rejected 3 times. Now I have nobody around to talk to. I'm just this guy standing there that nobody liked.
Yeah, that's never a good feeling. I whenever I got lost in a club in the Gaslamp district of San Diego, I would be like, "Oh, what am I doing now?"
Yeah.
"Hey man, have you seen my friend?" And they're like, "What? I can't hear you. This blaring music is really loud." And I'm like, "Oh man, it sucks."
When you're in Japan at the clubs, do Japanese women, Okinawan women, typically like Marines?
Sometimes. Okinawan women, I would say, there's not that many clubs in Okinawa, to be honest, but I would say no, not really. Yeah,
I heard a story once. AJ, you know her. She was saying that the Japanese people in Okinawa think in order to join the Marines, you have to kill a family member.
Oh my god, yeah, I've heard that one before. Yeah,
is it true?
I have a belt with it's green, and the color of the belt indicates how many family members that you've killed. And if you kill your entire family, you get your black belt.
What color is your belt?
It's just green. So I killed my.
Still breathing.
Yeah, my mom's still breathing.
Good.
Yeah, dad's underground, he's 6 feet under.
So why do you think that's a rumor going around that island?
Dude, I
and they actually believe it. Some of them.
They do. Oh man, that's. Yeah, I'm really not sure. I think it might have stemmed from the rumor that in order to join you just had to kill somebody in general. And it was probably like a really big gigantic game of telephone, and the rumor spread to Okinawa, and then it was just like, oh, they have to kill their family members? What? To enlist? What? That's crazy.
That's why they don't like you.
Yeah, that must be. Yeah.
Could you imagine a military force that had that many people and all of them had actually killed a family member? That'd be an intimidating force.
Yeah, that would be seriously that would be an enemy I would not want to go to battle with.
Agreed.
Yeah, or to go to battle against.
Yeah.
I don't want them on my side.
I would also want them on my side, and I don't want to be their family either.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah.
That's funny. When she told me that, I was like, that's not a thing. So I'm glad I could finally confirm that that's a thing, a story that I was born in Okinawa.
Yeah. I remember you told me that once when we were golfing. Do you ever miss it?
No, I lived there 3 times. I was born there. Don't remember that. Came back as a 3rd grader to 6th grade.
Yeah.
I guess I've only been there twice then. Oh, then when I was in high school, I went there for a soccer tournament.
Oh, nice.
I've been there 3 times. I've lived there twice, but
yeah.
I guess I don't miss it. I was just so young. I could have been happy anywhere. Being a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're on this podcast. I meant to ask you this early, and I missed the opportunity. You listen to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts.
No, I wouldn't say a lot, but I do listen. I do listen occasionally. Put it on as a background. He's got a wide variety of guests and very interesting amount of topics.
That's what I'm jealous of. That's what I would like to do. Just talk to these people who are these experts or celebrities or whatever have you in their own career or their own passion. You just get to ask them shit for an hour to two, and then however many millions of people listen. Like that would be really cool. And I'm jealous of him for that.
For sure. Yeah, he's got an amazing variety of guests. Like I haven't listened to these two particular episodes, but he had an episode recently with Demi Lovato. And everyone knows who Demi Lovato is, but she came on and she talked about like her experience in the music industry, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all, and how it affected her problems with heroin addiction. Because everyone knows that she OD'd, and that was the way the internet reacted to that in particular was pretty nasty. It was a very nasty thing.
Yeah, but also I know the name, and this is like one of those embarrassing things when people say everyone knows Demi Lovato, and I'm like, nope.
You don't know Demi Lovato?
I'm guessing she's a singer now, but I would not have known that. I might have guessed it on a multiple choice, but I didn't know that.
Well, hopefully your viewership knows her. Yeah, she's a very, very popular pop singer. She came out with this song several years ago. It was like one of her biggest ones. It was like, I think it was called like Sorry Not Sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that was her song. Yeah.
Couldn't if I wanted to. Wait, but she OD'd recently?
Not recently. She OD'd a couple years ago.
But she did a podcast with Joe Rogan before that. Okay.
No. She OD'd a couple years ago, and then after that, like after she had recovered from her addiction, she came on to the podcast and talked about her experiences. Yeah. So like Joe Rogan will talk to people like her, but he'll also bring on like people from wildly different fields. Like, one man in particular, John Danaher, is he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's arguably one of the best Jiu-Jitsu instructors in the entire world, and the entire legacy of Jiu-Jitsu from its beginnings with the Gracie family. John Danaher has come, and he has made his students into very, very lethal weapons. And his teams constantly bring home medals at every tournament. He's got a few famous names on his team. One of them, George St. Pierre, very famous UFC fighter. He trains at John Danaher's jiu-jitsu gym, and his system of grappling is just unlike anything anybody has ever fathomed, and it's so technical and philosophical, and it's very, very deadly. People for some reason cannot seem to best John Danaher's athletes. One of them especially, Gordon Ryan, is also a black belt. He's a no-gi competitor, so whenever he competes in like the tight rash guard and shorts. He doesn't wear the traditional kimono gi. But he's probably he's one of John Danaher's best students, and he is arguably the best grappler in the world. He cannot be beaten. Like he offers money to prospective opponents to go toe to toe with him, and they'll make excuses as to why they won't fight him.
Yeah.
And whoever he does end up rolling with at a tournament, just they get absolutely dominated. It's crazy.
Do you think there's like some satisfaction in like the way you were talking about him? There's some satisfaction like going down as the best grappler in the world, like that kind of legacy. Is that something that you would find very satisfying?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm not ashamed to admit that. Yeah. I would love to be like the best grappler in the world.
So what about when going back to when you were in high school and you didn't have many friends, or like, were you concerned about that stuff back then? Like, what does the future hold for Morgan?
Very much. I was very concerned for what my future held. And although I think that's typically a very normal experience for a teenager at that age to have. When I was reading this, I was reading my psychology textbook because I just finished up a class. I finished up an intro to psychology class recently, and It talks about that concept in the book. The search for identity.
Yep.
The search for a role. And teenagers specifically, try out these different roles and these different archetypes. And they see what fits.
I feel like, but from your story earlier, you weren't trying to see what fits. You just went home and did the same bullshit every day and eventually talked to a recruiter. And I guess that was your identity. You're like, this is going to change me when I get in.
Mm-hmm. I was doing that. I guess my role that I was searching for, or that I was, not that I was actively searching for, but that I was falling into naturally, was that of the mediocre nobody. Like, just going through life happens to him, and things just go on, and you kind of just get dragged along with it, you know. And that's not a role that anyone should search for. That's just kind of a role that
you'd accept it.
Yeah, you tend to accept it, and you default to it if you let that happen.
Yeah,
you know, that's kind of what I was falling into.
Yeah, that's cool. That was just randomly thought of that, and I had to ask you. Taking school as a Marine, is that normal? Do most Marines go to college?
The Marine Corps statistically utilizes tuition assistance the least compared to the other branches.
Do you have the same amount, $4,500 a year, that we have?
Yes, yeah, we get $4,500 a year for tuition assistance funded classes, and it is so desperately underutilized by Marines. Although I think that trend is changing. At least in my anecdotal experience, I have noticed that a lot of my junior Marines and a lot of my peers are getting very, very interested about pursuing their education.
Is Sergeant Aracho, is he taking school?
If he is, I'm not aware of it.
What about Corporal Whitney?
Corporal Whitney, yes, he was. Last time I saw him, he was. Jankovic, I think he was as well.
Okay, 75%.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good percentage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Iracho's an interesting case because he's a 28-year-old man. He's older than me, but he and I came together to Korea, and I got promoted. I got promoted faster than him, and so I was technically, rank-wise, I was his superior, but on a maturity level, he's my superior. I let him do his own thing, you know, because I'm not going to boss around a 28-year-old man. If I need him to do something for me, work related, I will tell him, like, hey man, can you do this? Or hey man, I need you to get this done, please. But I'm not gonna pry into his life and be like, hey man, do you have a girlfriend? How's your day going? You taking school? Blah 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 blah. You know,
he's very stoic. He just kind of talks when he has something interesting to say.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he maintains what a lot of Buddhists call the noble silence. If you don't have anything that's important to say, you say nothing.
Is he Buddhist?
No, but I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I was like, the way you said that, I was like, I didn't know he was a Buddhist.
Yeah.
You both are. What are the odds of that?
No, I don't know if he's Buddhist, but I am very devout as far as Buddhism is concerned.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very, like, stoic is definitely a good word to describe him.
Does school help you guys get promoted?
Yes, it does, because for E1 through E4, the promotion system is slightly different. E1 through E3 actually is automatic, but getting promoted to E4 is based on this new system that they have called the JEPES, the Junior Enlisted Performance Evaluation System. And basically, you get rated on your physical and mental toughness, your rifle range, your physical fitness test, your combat fitness test, and your command has 25% of the. They have an input section where they can put their remarks, and that's worth 25% of whatever ranking you get for promotion. So school. If you put school in there, that really helps out, and that makes you look a lot better.
Only to that 25%.
Only to that 25%, though. But for sergeants and above, for sergeants through major general, actually, our fitness reports, which
I recently learned is like the Air Force EPR. Fitness report has nothing to do with actual physical fitness.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No, yeah.
Learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
What is this?
It was a funny little mix up that we had there.
Yeah, I asked him. I was trying to get Mike here some recognition for something. And I was like, I need your fitness report is what I told him. Needing his physical fitness report, what we call in the Air Force. And he sends me this like essentially a Marine Corps EPR. I'm like, what is this? Dude? I'm so confused.
I was like, that's my fit rep.
I was like, no, it's not. It's not your fit rep.
Yeah.
It was
mind-boggling. It was also funny too because you were like, well, where's your PFT score? I was like, it's on there, and then it said not required, and I was like, oh crap, it's not on there.
It must be. I think it's a COVID thing. No, it's not required. I assumed that. Yeah.
It's because of COVID. Yeah, they canceled the tests. God, I totally lost my train of thought there.
Nah, it's fine. Let's talk about reading.
Yeah.
What do you? I know you said you used to read, and I guess you haven't anymore.
Yeah, it's been a while since I picked up a good book. Although the book that I was reading previously was Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Heard of that?
Yeah, he's one of the most famous Stoics in the world. He was the emperor of Rome. And you remember the movie Gladiator?
Yep. With
Russell Crowe? Yeah. Russell Crowe's character kept on saying like, I am loyal to the true emperor. I'm loyal to Marcus Aurelius.
Sound just like him. Oh, he did. I do remember that.
Yeah. That's the guy. He every night when he was on his campaigns, he had this little diary that he wrote in, and he'd write down his thoughts, and he would keep track of the things that he thought about and his experiences, and it was basically like his own little self-help journal. And it's what he used to get through the savagery of his campaigns at war, and dealing with things on the home front back in the capital. Like it helped him clear his mind and like focus on what really matters, because when you are in that kind of position as an emperor, there's a lot to get distracted by. Like the politics, the catering to a certain lifestyle, the temptations of luxury, all of that. Like those are all temporary things. But one of the most important things that I got from his book was that the only thing that really matters as a man is that you have virtues. That you have virtues, and that you live up to those virtues. Wisdom, justice, fortitude. There's one more Stoic virtue that was very important, but I totally forgot what it was.
I do that all the time with things. I think I've known and mastered. Then when it's time to talk about it, I'm like, I don't know this as well as I thought I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is a Buddhist? That sounds like very Buddhist thoughts, and from the minimal stuff I know about being a Buddhist. What does a Buddhist believe happens at the end of life?
If you ask a Buddhist monk what happens at the end of life, he would probably tell you that it doesn't really matter.
What if I asked you?
I would probably say the same thing. I mean, I like to think that the energy of the soul, like all things in the universe, cannot be destroyed. It just transforms into something else. When you die, your physical body gets put 6 feet under, and it begins to rot and decompose and become one with the soil that surrounds it. And it provides nutrients to the earth, and eventually plants grow on the surface and flowers sprout and all that. So I like to think that the same thing probably happens to people's souls when they die. They just move on somewhere else. But I try not to dwell on it too much, because Buddhism is primarily about knowing and seeing.
Yeah.
You can't focus too much on metaphysical questions of. You can't focus too much on the metaphysical questions of the universe, because if you dwell on these things too much, it can actually cause you more suffering than good. You have to be focused on what's happening here and now. I think if there's anything to be said for this weird concept people talk about, called enlightenment, it would be understanding understanding the nature of the present moment and just being here and being content with it all, even in times of pain.
I feel like that is how I live my life, but I've never really put thought behind it. I've just thinking about what happens afterwards is just too much work and stressful, and behaving a certain way for a certain outcome to happen for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
I'd rather just do what I'm thinking, what I want. What's going to make me laugh today? Getting drunk and doing a podcast with my guy wearing these stupid ramen noodles with a ramen.
That's great stuff.
I can't even say what that brand is, but
Shin.
Yeah. Oh, and it's expired too. February 5th.
That thing never expires.
You're right. It was here when I moved in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just sitting in like under that sink actually. So
yeah.
That's how long it's been there. I guess 3-ish years, however long ramen lasts.
I saw this really funny comic. It was actually one of these Maruchan chicken ramen cups, and
we should get ramen after this.
Oh, we should, yeah.
While wearing this.
That is a great idea.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead. Tell about your comic, and we'll bring the comic with us. But continue.
Oh, it's on my it's a meme on my phone actually.
Okay.
I can show you later. But there's this like worm, and it was like it somehow gotten into the ramen, and he was like, I live a lonely life of complete solitude, and I spend my time around these other worms, but I don't know what I'm doing, and they won't talk back to me. I feel so alone. And then a big light comes, and it's somebody opening up the ramen cup. It's like, oh my God, what is that beautiful, beautiful light? Hopefully it's someone to rescue me from this prison. And then someone just starts pouring boiling water in. Yeah. Lo and behold, that worm got eaten like a noodle. Yeah. I don't know. Just talking about the ramen made me think of that comic, and I love it.
Sometimes I'll be like talking to people, and it'll be like important people or like my boss giving me direction on what to do.
Yeah.
And I just start thinking about dumb shit in my head like that. Something I do, I should admit this, and not a lot, but in meetings at work, I'm very often like, if it's not relevant to me in my head, I'm just like, hey, and I do it. And I did it once because The Simpsons like made a joke about it, and then I thought it was funny when I was younger. And so I did it, and now it's like a thing I just can't help but do. Like if it's irrelevant to me in my head.
Yeah, man. Oh my God.
Just laughing to myself.
I am so bad with that too. And then if you do it too much, then you start laughing out loud, and people are like, what the fuck is so funny? And you're just like, oh fuck. Oh my God.
Have you ever been in a moment where you're not supposed to laugh? It's not appropriate to laugh, but because you can't laugh right now, I can't help but try to not laugh. Like, oh yeah, I love those moments.
Yeah, that's like, oh man. Whenever I'm like, when I'm back with the Marines, like whenever we were getting yelled at for something really trivial, I would start doing that, and then I would start laughing a little bit, and I'd be like, oh God, can't laugh, getting yelled at, gotta look remorseful. Yeah, and I would like struggle internally to just like keep my bearing, keep my composure, but really I was thinking, I was off in my own head, and I wanted to burst out laughing. Yeah, as my staff sergeant or whatever was just like, bah, bah, like yelling at all of our faces. Yeah. Yeah.
Something I think talking about military again that I thought was really cool is when you were getting promoted to sergeant, from corporal to sergeant, it was like your first month or two here. Yeah. It was really cool that I forgot his name, the guy that came from Osan to read.
Captain Alverson.
Who was the sergeant that came? He was maybe a year older than you. He looked like he was your age.
Oh yeah, Sergeant Ramos.
Yeah. And he was like reading the order for your promotion, and he was like as loud as he probably could be. And that's something I've never experienced. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like this guy's really into it. And I was like, cool for Sergeant Ramos, thinking like this is that important that he was going to do that. Yeah. And then I kind of just thought that was cool that he did that and moved on with my life. And then 8-9 months later, Aracho is getting promoted to sergeant, and you're reading it, and you're just as loud and proud. And I'm like, well, this is like a thing that they do.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And that is cool. Like, yeah, I wish anyone that listens to this was here to experience it. Because ours, when we get promoted, we just kind of read their name, their line number, and they go take a walk. Like they walk down an alley and people clap. Yeah. But your guys it was cool. It was different.
Yeah. It's there is the way we see promotions, like they're a huge deal. They're a huge deal for us, especially that first promotion to corporal, actually, because corporals in the Marine Corps are considered the first line of NCOs. So they take that very, very, very seriously and very intensely, because when you're getting promoted, your level of responsibility is increasing, and the amount of people you're responsible for, the kinds of control you have over the mission is expanding. The kind of control you have over the mission grows a lot with each rank. So it really is a big deal for us, and we need to, as Marines, we try to keep that in mind, and we try to cement that mindset through the almost ritualistic practice of reading off that citation while everyone stands at attention. Because it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
You can't take that responsibility lightly. It says in the citation, you will lead your Marines with firmness, fairness, dignity, and respect. And that's you can't mess that up, because if you're not firm with your Marines, then they won't listen to you. If you're not fair to them, then they'll eventually resent you, the ones that you're unfair to. And if you don't treat them with dignity, they will really resent you, and they will never respect you if you don't treat them with the proper dignity, because at the end of the day, they're still human beings.
Yep.
They're not pawns on the chessboard. They're human beings that you need to afford the proper respect. Immanuel Kant was big on that.
Who's that?
He's a German philosopher. Okay. But he was big on the ideal of basic human respect. And if you ignore that tenet, just because the people under you might be wearing a uniform and they may have like less black on the collar, as we call it, that's a bad mindset to have. That's a bad mindset to have. The reason you're a leader is so you can serve the people, under you and get the mission accomplished, not so you can boss them around or treat them like pawns.
I do know.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone would agree with that, but I do.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate that not everyone would agree with that, because really all I'm trying to say is that people deserve some modicum of respect, and if you don't give that to them, then what do you really deserve to be a leader? Yeah.
I agree with you. So moving into, I want to ask you what it was like working with the Air Force and the Korean Air Force, United States Air Force, Korean Air Force. But before, that'll be my next question. But before that, your best experience with your 1 year in Korea, what is it?
I'd say, it's hard because I have multiple favorite moments. I guess
just your favorite.
Favorite. Yeah. I guess the absolute favorite would be getting the arrival certification.
Getting checked out.
Yeah, getting fully checked out in the RAPCON. Because I could have said traveling to Seoul and exploring Seoul and having a good time and partying and stuff was great. I'll take some of that if you don't mind. Thanks. However, that's not really what I came to do. I came to get certified and accomplish a certain mission set, and accomplishing that was huge for me, personally and professionally.
That is really good, and it's funny you say that, because as also an air traffic controller, when anyone ever asks me my best moment in which doesn't happen very often. How often does someone say, "Hey, what's your best moment in your experience?"
Yeah.
But mine is getting my 5 level as an air traffic controller. Just getting in local control in the tower was the certification. But nothing beats that. I've had a few awards, met some cool people, done some fun things, but nothing beat the moment where I'm like, all right, I have a career for the next 40 years of my life.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. It really is unbeatable. Because it's a big step and it changes things.
It is, and it was literally what you were sent here. I will just set it on the ground.
Yeah.
I should put it in this Yeti behind me, but that's too much work. We'll just drink faster. All right, so let's move to working with the Air Force. When you were selected to come here, what were your initial thoughts on how we would be?
My initial thoughts were that the Air Force is a very, very technical and they're a very technical branch. The things that they care about most is doing the job right, doing it correctly. And was like, that's a high standard to live up to, because not all Marines think that way. I'm not usually used to that. Even coming up from Marine air traffic control, like not everyone's mind is focused on air traffic. Some people care more about being Marines than being air traffic controllers. It's a balancing act that we have to play. But my suspicions about the Air Force being super big into their job and their AFSC. That's what they call it, right?
Yeah. How do you know that? MOS? What do you guys call it?
Yeah, we call it
Yeah.
MOS.
How do you know that? Yeah. Correct.
I pay attention.
Good job.
Yeah, my suspicions were confirmed coming here and meeting everybody on crew and in the RAPCon. And then eventually throughout the base, like everyone is very, very laser focused on performing their job to the best of their ability. Yeah. And if you're not, then you get ostracized. Yeah.
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 That's interesting to see it that bluntly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really how I saw it. Like a lot of people thought like, oh, you're going to go spend time in the Air Force? Oh man, you're going to turn into a little bitch when you come back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were like, you're going to turn into a little softy. And I was like, oh, go fuck yourself.
Do you think maybe you're a little softer now that you've been with us for a year?
Actually, no, I don't think so at all. Good. I think honestly, if anything, I think I've become harder. I think I've become harder and better because, you're back in the Marine Corps, like you're told to do everything. You're told to be, you need to be hard. You need PTing on your own, blah, 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 all that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's different when you have to do it on your own. It's different when you need to find the motivation, and then when you need to ensure you have that self-discipline to continue the trend on your own. So I've had to be a Marine and uphold a standard with no supervision, essentially, on my own, and that's made me stronger. That's made me better. Like a lot of people were afraid that I was going to come here and just like totally relax, and like that's my commander literally briefed me on that. He was telling me why he wanted me to send sit reps every week, because I send a situation report electronically every week to.
Is it just like a paragraph or?
Yeah, it's like a paragraph detailing what we've done and how many hours we've worked in position for, anything that happens that's important. And he was like, do you understand why we want you to send these sit reps every week? And I was like, well, to keep an eye on what we're doing. And he was like, so you don't become an airman, so you don't become a fat, lazy airman, basically. And I was like, well, I didn't say this to him, but in my head I was like, well, one, that's not going to happen, because I know who I am, and I have self-respect. Two, I don't think the Air Force is actually like that either. And fortunately enough, I was proven right, because I haven't met any fat, lazy airmen yet.
I would like to agree with you there, but I can't. However, I would say when I see you, Aracho, meeting Whitney and Jankovic today, if I had to pick the 8 most athletic people in my facility, there's about 30 people, all 4 of you would be in there.
Yeah.
So there definitely is a difference on like physical fitness standards and perception.
That's
from one
true.
to another. And so
I
that's cool. You could disagree with him, even though you didn't say it.
Yeah.
But I would disagree with you, and I'd be more on his side and against my own people. Like, it is a thing.
Yeah.
I do think, like, you ever heard the thing, you become like the people you hang out, the 5 people you hang out with the most?
Yep.
When the 5 people you hang out with the most aren't being told to be athletic or working on being athletic, you will probably slide that way.
Yeah.
Whereas when everyone you hang out with is being told to do that and they're doing it, you're going to slide that way.
Yeah. I have heard that before, and I've tried to keep that in mind as much as I can. And I try to be nice to everybody, and I try to be pleasant with everybody, but I pick my friends. I pick my friends carefully, because I don't want to be a bad influence on them, and I don't want them to be a bad influence on me. Because again, like you're saying, you give and take things from the people that you hang out with the most. And
I gotta ask you this: what bad? I know what positive influences you could put on people, but what bad influences do you push onto people?
I think the tendency perhaps to procrastinate might be something that I put on people. Like,
Same.
it took me up until like last month to get my passport, and I was going to do it when before I left the States in 2018, but I was lazy and I didn't want to pay the $145 fee. And then I got to Okinawa and I was like, oh, I'll get my passport some other time. I'll just drive down to the consulate and get it there. Nope, didn't do that. And then I come here and I'm about to leave Korea and I'm like, oh man, I really have to get my passport at some point. So I finally went up to Seoul. I visited the embassy.
Okay, so while you were on leave, you did that.
Yeah, so while I was on leave, I made sure to do that, and I got my passport then.
Is that something you can do in one day? You just go to the embassy and do it?
Yeah, you just submit the application, and then you have to come back in 3 weeks and then pick it up.
And you went back already?
Yeah, I already went back.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, thanks.
My passport recently expired, and I'm kind of embarrassed.
Yeah.
I don't have a passport.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'll get one when I get to Washington. I tried when I got here, but with COVID, they're like, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
I said, all right.
Yeah, that complicates. It really does
I
complicate.
can't go
the whole
anywhere
process.
anyway, so it actually works out. Now it'll last me a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Whenever I get a new one. What about working with Koreans? Do you feel like you've gained much from them?
I have. I've gained insight into how other countries' militaries operate.
Yeah.
Some of it good, some of it not so good. But working with a guy like Jin,
Yep.
who is also on this podcast. I
Who
saw
is?
his thingy.
He is on here.
Yeah. Working with a guy like Jin
Number
was
11.
Yeah, number 11. He was an awesome dude. He is an awesome dude. He's still here. And he's a very, very hard worker. He's more studious than I am.
He is studious.
Yeah, very, very involved in the studies. He throws himself into the books. I'll see him over at the PARO scope, and he'll just be like, he'll have the books open, and he'll be like furiously taking notes. I'm like, holy crap, it throws even me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, it makes me feel bad.
Where's my old notebook?
Yeah.
Pull that out.
Yeah, it's crazy. But they're very hard workers. They're very hard workers. They're very passionate, and they take their job seriously, and I like that.
Yeah, I think something we take for granted working with them, or that Americans in general, like these Korean Air Force people or Korean military, they really do like us and admire us, and they, not at all trying to say take advantage of it, but they would do anything for us. Like anytime I invite Jin out, he usually says yes. He goes camping with me whenever, and it's like for him to like me, maybe he likes me for other reasons, but I think he initially liked me just because I'm American. I should have this conversation with him, but I think that was his initial liking towards me. Yeah, and then we grew a friendship from it. But just whatever it is that American Air Forces is doing to have these people love us that much is really cool. Yeah. And I take away a lot from it. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've been exploring Korea and I'm talking to an older Korean, and I can't translate. So I just called Jin, hey man, will you translate for me? He's like, of course. Every time. He answers every time.
Yeah, it's great.
It is.
Having a friend like him is very valuable, especially here. Yeah. They really are good dudes. And I like how they look up to us, because I mean, American military projects this image of like being professional and kind and helping out. And, it's definitely an image that we as individuals should try to keep up.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between Marine Corps and Air Force air traffic control?
Marine Corps and Air Force air traffic control. I would say the primary difference. Is that Marine air traffic control is more. It is more physically fit, and even though that seems peculiar, since we're talking about air traffic control, it will make sense. It makes sense because Marine air traffic controllers are very focused on getting local, specifically a lot of tower ratings, because when we deploy, quite often we utilize tower and VFR systems a lot more than IFR systems. So when you do that, and you need to be physically fit enough to basically set up an LZ. The Marine
landing zone for non-military people.
Yeah, setting up landing zones. I don't want to talk too much about this stuff, because I wouldn't want to give away our tactics completely. Yeah, but we rely a lot on our own physical fitness to set up airfields and to be able to operate in austere environments, and still perform the duties of an air traffic controller. Because being an air traffic controller is already mentally taxing enough. Ask anybody with any amount of experience in ATC, and they'll be able to confirm that. But doing that in a deployed environment, on a limited amount of sleep, while wearing full kit, with rifle, flak, Kevlar, eating MREs, it can be taxing on the body as well, and you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared physically to take that on. So that's probably the biggest difference between Marine air traffic control and Air Force air traffic control, is that I have seen every Marine air traffic controller I know absolutely prioritizes physical fitness in their daily lives.
Yeah,
like we're constantly PTing. I was the PT and CO at Futenma.
Mm-hmm.
I was responsible for taking the junior Marines out and leading PT sessions with them every day.
Did you enjoy that? Like when you got tasked for that, were you like happy? I get to spend my off time doing that.
I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really took pride in doing that and doing it to the best of my ability. And I like to think I know a little. Excuse me. I like to think I know a little more about working out than some other people.
Yeah.
So I liked building programs that would benefit people and it would challenge them, but it wouldn't run them into the ground and overtrain them, because that's a real problem with some people.
But now you actually know more about fitness and capabilities of people and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's great about actually leading or being assigned the leader of things,
Yeah.
is you learn more than everyone else because you're expected to.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that's a uniqueness that I would say our branch struggles with, is when I task someone to do something that requires their personal time and frequently,
Yeah.
they're usually not excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not some of them are, but it's hard. Like you have to have the right people in your organization.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nobody really likes getting their liberty time messed with, but there's some sacrifices that you do have to make that when you make them, they're worth it. And when you see like the benefit that it brings to people, it makes it worth it.
Yeah, I think the secret is getting them to choose to do, even though like I know like I'm going to make you do this.
Yeah.
I have to make you want to do it. And then you're kind of more sold.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, where like the leadership thing comes in. Like, how do you get people to want to do something?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's, I think a big part of that is you have to positively influence people. Like if you threaten them with punishment, right? Like if you don't do this, I'm going to take away your liberty, or which we can't do. But just as an example, like I'm going to take X away from you if you don't do this. That's not a very good way to motivate someone.
Yep.
Because they're just going to put in the bare minimum effort. But if you tell someone to do this, if you tell someone like, hey man, I need you to do this, and if you do, it will really help you out, and it'll help out a lot of other people, and you might even get recognized for it, blah blah blah. Then they might just be motivated to try harder and go the extra mile.
Yeah. So what you said is there's for any type of influence, there's 5 types of power.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one you said is coercive power, where like, if you don't do this, I'll punish you.
Yeah.
And the next thing you said was like, if you do this, there might be a reward for you. So that's reward power.
Yeah.
You might learn something from it. You'll be helping me out. That's referent power, doing it because you care about, like you, I think Mike likes me, TP, and you would do things for me just because you like me enough and know I'm doing enough things, right?
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
that's a power in its own.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge power, just doing something because I know more than you. So you're like, okay, he's probably right. I'm going to do it. There's so many different powers, and you listed them off without, I don't know if you studied the different 5 powers, but like, just that fundamental, like if you can learn the 5 powers and when and how they're used, it helps your influence on people.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely something I learned through. That was definitely something I learned through experience, like seeing that kind of power and seeing the absence of it. Like I've had leaders in the past where, but honestly, the only reason that I listened to some of them was because of the amount of rank that they wore on their collar. And like they didn't have any of the other 4 powers. The only thing they had was the threat of punishment, perhaps. Or, that was it. Yeah, the threat of punishment. Hey, do this for me, or you're going to be in trouble because you're disobeying Article 92 of the UCMJ, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like I had one leader. I don't want to say her name, but she had no credibility at all. She had zero credibility with me personally, because when she was a lap mover. She cross trained from maintenance to air traffic control, RAWs. She cross trained from there into air traffic. So when she did, she was already a sergeant.
E5, right?
Yeah, E5. And she had started out with zero qualifications, as an air traffic controller usually does. So she was an E5 with like 3-level experience, schoolhouse graduate, nothing. And I did not train her, but I heard stories from her trainers and her instructors of how dishonest she actually was. She went into her evaluations, because evaluations at Camp Pendleton are done electronically. So you can go in there and you can type whatever you want, and they're maintained electronically. They're not written out and put into folders like we do here. But she went into her evals and she changed it up to make it sound like she was doing better than she actually was. And that Friday, the instructors were auditing the evals, and they saw what was written, and they were like, "This is not what I wrote. She was terrible in position. This is not what I wrote." So they called her up and they were like, "Did you write that? Did you change that?" And she was like, "No." "Okay, now I know you're lying." So she lied about doing well in her in position, and she ended up taking it was radar final control, the position that she was training in. She took that position to 120% of her total training time, because per the Navy's regulations, if you take your training to 100%, and you have to go to a board, and then that board will decide whether or not to give you an extra 20% to kind of shape up and finish up that certification. So she got that 20%, but she used it all up, and eventually they gave it to her because she did end up performing at a somewhat satisfactory level. But the kicker to that was when she finally got her certification, immediately after, her next step was to write herself up for a Navy Achievement Medal. And her justification was that she did X amount of ops. She did X amount of flight ops during her training. And she sent it up to the captain, and the captain saw it and was like, S&M deserves a Navy Achievement Medal said name Marine deserves a Navy Achievement Medal because she used up 120% of her training time and did this many PARs during her training. And he just crumpled up the paper and threw it out because it was totally ridiculous. She tried to get recognized for being bad at her job, basically. And then she came to Vitemma and then ended up bullying her instructors into certifying her, because her instructors were E3s, Lance Corporals. It was a Lance Corporal and a Sergeant, and she was a Staff Sergeant at this point. So she used her rank to bully them into recommending her for certification. So by the time that I got there and saw her, she was already a radar supervisor and the crew boss. And the stories, I heard those stories, and I did not like what I heard, and I lost a lot of respect for her. Not that I had any to begin with.
Yeah, it's I read a lot of little books and stuff, and that's something that's called. I mean, she sounds, from that definition, she's not a great person. The perception you have of her is probably valid, mm-hmm. But it's something. What I took from it the biggest is it's what other people's opinions of her were that made yours. Mm-hmm. And so it's fair, and people are usually right, but you kind of have to learn to see what that person is like in your own way.
Yeah.
And then find ways to not only just hear what people were saying and let that person go, you have to attempt. I know it's hard. It's way easier said than done, but you have to attempt to try to make these people realize you fucking suck. People don't like you. Mm-hmm. This is how you can be better.
Yeah. It's hard to do that when you're...
It is very hard to do that. Yeah. Especially as a new person. You can't do it because you have no credibility yourself.
Definitely as a new person. Yeah. As a new person who's lower ranking as well than her, it was very hard. And she was aware of that. She was aware of that power that she had. So she used it to make sure she could solidify her authority, because people were afraid to criticize her.
Yeah.
What I did learn about her, though, from personal experience, was that she liked to hide behind the radar supervisor desk a lot. She would sit there and just do her own thing, and she wouldn't actively control at all. I don't think I saw her do I don't think I saw her do a single approach when she was at Fatenma. Not a single PAR. And so she didn't really do the job as an air traffic controller. She did do her job as a radar supervisor, but did she control actively? No, she didn't do that at all. And she would just keep us around for no reason. Like flying. You know how we get out sometimes, and like when flying is down, and they cut to mins, like, yeah, she would just keep us there for no reason. Like we'd be all done with administrative stuff, nothing left to do on that side. There's no flying, so no planes to control.
She just kept saying request work.
Yes.
Like, let them think of things. Because even me, even though I'm swamped and I'll stay 12, 14 hours a day these last couple of weeks, if someone said, hey, give me something to do, it's actually really hard to think like, well, what do I trust to give out?
Yeah.
Like if you're equal rank of that person, I'll just be like, hey, what can we do? Hey, what can we do? We're leaving. Hey, what can we do?
Yeah.
I don't know if that works the same in the Marines, but sometimes you just got to keep asking because people, sometimes will have things to delegate and sometimes not. Like it's a lot of work to think of things. Well, what can I delegate? Because then when you delegate, you actually have to track it and remember, like, I gave it to this person and to follow up. Yeah. So delegating is not as easy as just saying, hey, go do this. Fuck off.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah.
So that can burden people too. That I don't know. That's
you got to trust and verify.
Sometimes I wish I could be an airman again with all the knowledge I have now. Not only would I be way more competent, but like I would just know how to interact with people.
I wish I could go back in time and get my knees back. That's the only thing I think I would change about my career.
What's wrong with your knees?
I have terrible knees. They're just bad form from squatting and jiu-jitsu. It kind of tends to mess with your joints a little bit. Aside from that, though, I think I wouldn't really change anything about the way my career has gone so far. Yeah.
Question. From talking to you previously, you said that you could have been a sergeant sooner than you actually were. So obviously you fucked some shit up.
Yeah, I did.
What are those things now that you're saying you wouldn't change anything and you've learned from them, which is great?
Yeah.
What were those things? I'd like to know.
So I took a long time to do my non-resident and resident PME. So the online portion of my PME for Corpus course, I took forever to do that. It took forever to get it done. And then it took me even longer to sign up for the in-person academic portion of my PME, which is a Corpus course. It took me even longer to do that. Like my main motivation for getting it done when I did was that my tour in Korea was dependent on me getting Corpus course done. So I was like, all right, if I want to go to Korea, I need to do this. So I did. And that's going back to the procrastination thing that I was talking about earlier. Like I'm a very bad procrastinator, and that's something that I tend to give off to other people, that I'm afraid I do give off to other people. So that was a lesson that I learned. Like you can't procrastinate when it comes to your own career. You cannot, because you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot. Yeah, yeah. So I learned that lesson the hard way. So I guess I should rescind that earlier statement. Like if I could go back and change something about my career, I probably would have done Corpus course, and I would have done Corpus course sooner so I could get promoted faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so I promoted faster than I probably should have to get to this point. And then I didn't make E8, which was fine. Like, and I realized at that point, wow, there's like so much shit that I actually don't know. Yeah. There's so many E7s that are way more deserving than me. And so it's cool to like understand, like, maybe at that moment I wasn't ready. For you to not have done those courses that you needed to do to get E5 faster makes sense. Like you weren't mature enough at that time.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I didn't deserve it back then.
It's easy to reflect now, like, well, I should have done that. So it's always cool to catch those moments, and that's I really do like. I'm big on, not big. I've been lazy sometimes, but journaling. I do it knowing like if I have an interaction with someone and I don't say something that like I'm thinking that I think like I need to say so that they know, so that we're at a mutual agreement. Later I have to write about it and have to try to validate why I was a bitch and didn't tell the person what I was thinking. And because I do that, I'm way more assertive in like telling people what I think, what I need. Yeah. And it really helps. It really helps to like hold yourself to some accountability. So for you to be able to tell yourself, maybe I should have done those courses and I shouldn't have made E5. Makes sense. Yeah. I think it's cool. You can grow a lot from just understanding. Yeah. You weren't ready.
Yeah. No, I was not. I should really do that more though. I never, because I do a little bit of journaling myself too, but I never really thought about it in that sense. I've never thought about how practical it can be in that way. So I'll definitely take that.
Yeah, you should. Here, let's do this. I have my journal to my left. Pick a date, any date, like not the year, but like a date, calendar year date.
Yeah. 9/11.
September 11th, 2019. Let's see if I even wrote that day. Then I'm gonna have to pre-read it. I'll start talking about something in case it's something that it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't share this with the world. There's August 2019. Let's see what I did. September 11th, 2019. Just so you can confirm, that's the date I wrote.
Oh, nice.
Let's see what did I do that day. I'll stop talking. I'm gonna read a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
This week of work has been pretty boring and nothing noteworthy. On September 6th, I went over to Nicole McConnell's house. Okay.
Just stopping there. Yeah. And I did many terrible things.
Regardless, like, it is cool to, like, reflect on, like, you know, moments of, like, what I did as a kid. And, like, 10 years from now, whatever I read, September 11th, 2019, I'm like, yeah. And then I could probably share that with Nicole and we'll laugh. Mm-hmm. I should probably cut this out. I'm not going to. Yeah. We probably had dinner is what that thing said, and then I went home.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Sure, dinner.
But what I'm saying is,
did you have dessert?
No,
dessert?
she didn't like sweets, so it was just a regular dinner, and then I went home.
Just dinner. Yeah. Very well.
But I think that's what's like cool about journaling is you literally, like, not every day, but most days I talk about my life, and I think it'll be cool when I'm older. It'll be fun to read, and then if I have kids, like, I bet they would maybe enjoy reading it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it helps. A lot of very successful people, I'm not one of them, but a lot of very successful people do that. Mm-hmm. You should try it. If I was here for longer, I would buy you a journal, Moleskine brand. That's the best brand of journal, and make you do it. Yeah,
I should.
So your thoughts of the Air Force haven't changed since before? You just twist it like a Coke bottle.
It's all like slippery and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, my thoughts about the Air Force. My thoughts on the Air Force. Some of them were confirmed. Trying to think.
What was confirmed?
That they're not as physically active as the Marine Corps.
Yep.
Yeah, they are a little less disciplined than the Marine Corps. Like a lot of Air Force peers that I've met they're not as big into working out, and they're not as big on like rank or structure or anything like that. God, this whiskey bottle is really hard to open.
Come on, let me open it for you. It'll give me some pride. Look
at
that. Hey,
big man.
Hey guys, the Marine Corps couldn't open this bottle.
Jesus, that was too easy for you. Yeah.
I think it was like a twist and pull. It's a unique brand of bottle. Yeah. No, that's the only button I know out of all those buttons.
You got me.
There you go. Yeah, so PT, I agree, and it's good to hear you say it because especially when you got here.
It's funny I'm talking about PT, but I can't even open a bottle.
You could.
You need to work out.
It was a technique thing for that one. Yeah. I would not challenge you in any physical fit. Maybe running. I think I would maybe have you in running, but weights, you win.
Yeah.
But I do agree. Like I remember I got here like a week before you, and I remember people here. I was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah. You see some people and they're just like, they just look like a giant ball of camouflage, and you're like, what is going on here? Yeah.
Army. There was an Army dude on base too. That was that way, and it just yeah. Here's something I would change in the Air Force. There's a lot. One of them being get rid of hats overall, and there might be some like reason, culture, There's probably a reason we have to wear hats outside.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody would be upset if they just got rid of that rule. Like, you don't have to wear hats ever. Like, just having to have a hat around and carry it around is just so inconvenient for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, lose it. And then now we have names on them, and I'm like, I can't borrow my friend's hat. I have to actually have mine.
With us, it's even more inconvenient because there's no like Velcro. With our covers, there's no like Velcro thingy on the back where you can put like a name tape or anything. So people are always stealing each other's stuff. People are always stealing each other's hats. Yeah. Like it's one of the most annoying things ever. Like if you don't properly mark your cover with your name, someone is definitely going to jack it.
Wait, even though it has your hats don't have your name on it.
They don't. No, they do not.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You have to like actually physically write your name on it, like Weibel, so that someone doesn't steal it, or that if someone does, you can check it and be like, "This is my hat. You took my hat. You douche." Yeah. Now I'm gonna kill you. Yeah.
Killing's a little extreme.
Yeah.
All right, let's see, man. So so that's what getting rid of hats is what I would change in the Air Force.
Yeah.
What would you change about the Marine Corps? If you could change one thing.
If I could change one thing, oh shoot, there's a lot of things. Well, I guess something very, very easy that I would change is that I would make people stop rolling sleeves. Like you know when I come into work and I have my sleeves rolled up. Yeah.
You have to do that?
I have to do that. Yeah.
Why?
It's dictated per the uniform regulations. Marine Corridor Papa 1020.34 hotel.
Certain months?
Yeah. From the months of from spring to the end of summer is when you have your sleeves rolled up.
Does anyone like their sleeves rolled up?
Some people do, yeah. Some people really like how it shows off their arms.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I like how it looks. I like how it makes my arms look sometimes. But
what about when you're hanging out working with 12 dudes? Do you care that much about what your arms look like in that moment?
You'd be surprised. People are
You're right.
Okay,
you're right. I was gonna act cool, like I wouldn't care, but yeah, I guess I do kind of care still. You're right.
Yeah, people are like rolling up their sleeves, or they're like, if the sleeves aren't tight enough, they'll be like, "Why are your sleeves so loose?" And it's like, oh my god, why do you care? Why do you care? Please stop. And I would definitely change that because it's very inconvenient. Like especially in a tactical sense, like it traps your body heat inside. Like everyone, I see people walking around in their OCPs and they have like the wizard sleeves, where it's like very loose, and they'll be complaining about how it's hot, and I'll be like, yeah, it is pretty hot out, but if you have your sleeves rolled up, then the airflow is cut off. Even if they're somewhat loose, like they're still somewhat tight on your arm, so the airflow is cut off completely, and you know what happens? Then you just get giant, even bigger sweat stains on your armpits, and it's disgusting, and it sucks. So it doesn't make sense for like heat prevention. Two, when you go on deployment, anyway, you roll down your sleeves, to protect your arms from the elements, or like getting scraped up or anything. So it doesn't make sense in a deployed environment.
So even in Yuma, Arizona, you have to walk around and just get sunburned on their arms?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. There's a clause in the uniform order that says rolling sleeves can be halted per the commander's discretion, but typically the commanders don't really make those kinds of decisions.
They don't want to explain it. I get it.
Yeah, they don't explain it, or they're dealing with other stuff that's more important.
Since we're talking about Marine Corps commanders, here's something that I think is interesting. What is, I know you don't deal with much of our officer commanders here, but as far as just enlisted leadership, what's the difference between senior enlisted leadership in the Air Force and senior enlisted leadership in the Marine Corps?
Senior enlisted leadership in the Air Force is they're very very similar, honestly. Okay. Although I think senior enlisted leadership in the Marine Corps are much more gung ho.
What does gung ho mean?
Like much more motivated and enthusiastic about their positions. Yeah, and it's weird. Like if you speak to the way I speak to, or the way that I've noticed that senior enlisted in the Air Force speak, they talk and sound a lot like normal people, regular dudes. But it's weird in the Marine Corps because like in the Marine Corps, when you reach a certain level of senior enlisted leadership, you are expected to act differently, and you're expected to uphold a different standard of behavior. And some people like get so into it, it's almost like playing a role. Like you get so into playing that role, like you become that person. It's like method acting almost. Like it's really weird. The way a corporal or a sergeant might act as a person is different from the way a gunnery sergeant might act. Like, it's hard to explain, but you have to see it for yourself. They're very like Marine Corps, rah, and their voice sometimes changes. Their voice physically changes. Like, maybe it's from drill instructor duty, like the way they talk, the things they think about, the way they carry themselves out of uniform. Like, you can go from wearing t-shirts and a short as a normal regular enlisted Marine to being like senior enlisted, and now suddenly you're wearing a button up and slacks and walking around in New Balance sneakers. I don't know. Yeah,
that's interesting. I know a Chief Select, Chief Keel. He's a fire chief. He invited me to his going away this Friday. If I have time, I'm gonna go. I want to make you come just so you can meet this dude. But he is himself, man. He wears like shirts, shirts and shorts. He's a chief. He wears backwards hat. Like he's himself. And so it's interesting because I could see that. Yeah. I could see how the Marine Corps culture does that. Mm-hmm. But they don't. Do they hang out with you guys as much? An E8,
no,
E7?
Definitely not.
No, yeah, definitely not. I think that's something that's an interesting difference.
That is a big difference. I should have started with that because that's probably the biggest difference. Like, a lot of people have told me like it's just particularly Kunsan
that is true.
The way things are here. But I've had the experience of like sitting down and sharing drinks with senior enlisted and a couple officers every now and then too, and it's like that's something I'm not used to at all coming from the Marine Corps. Like, the way it would look if I was sitting down sharing drinks with my gunny back in Okinawa, that'd be very suspicious. And if we were at like a public bar or something that people's prying eyes would see, and that would not be okay. It would basically be fraternization.
What about like at a going away? Like
at a going away, it's different.
Okay. So there are moments.
Sure. Yeah, there are moments.
But not every Friday night.
Yeah, not every Friday night. Not. There's no hooch anywhere else. There's no squadron bar at a Marine Corps base.
Do you think that's good or bad, having that boundary between senior and?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes not, then, huh?
Yeah, sometimes not. Like in the case of when it's good, having that boundary, it allows senior leaders to retain a certain image of power and authority. Because if you don't see them outside of work, the only manner in which you see them is at work in uniform, behaving a certain way, and you associate that identity with their whole being. Mm-hmm. If you see them outside of work, and you're sharing drinks with them and all that stuff, then people who don't know how to separate work and play will unconsciously begin to blend the two identities together, and then in different social settings, they may get those identities confused. Like Sergeant Diaz is a good example. If I was to imagine he was my gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps or something, if I was to get work and play confused and treat him differently at work because I shared drinks with him outside, then that wouldn't be good. That would be breaking the chain of command. But if I had never seen him outside of work, then I wouldn't be able to try and rub elbows with him and act like he was my boy or something,
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah,
it is a fine line to walk.
Yeah, you really got to know that difference between work and play.
Yeah,
and you need to make sure that in the military in general, you need to make sure that you don't cross that line or you don't get things mixed up, because there can be consequences to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's interesting. Only being an Air Force guy, I think when I meet Marines and Army people, they're like, especially since I've been at E7, when I meet E5s, E4s, they just act differently.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I don't really know how to respond to this because that's not normal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But even like, look at us, E7, E5, we're wearing these stupid hoodies.
Yeah. Like, you gotta have some sort of like individual identity,
Yeah.
Still, you can't let the military become your whole identity. That's not a good thing. You have to be your own person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they always say the military is a lifestyle, not a job, not just a job. At the same time, however, you still have to remember the name that's on the right side of your chest, because you kept that name with you since birth. You only got the branch of service like several years ago. For me, it's in the case of me, it's 6 years. How long have you been in the Air Force?
12.
12. Yeah, you only put U.S. Air Force on 12 years ago, but you've been John Tisue, and I've been Morgan Weibel for 24 years. You've been John Tisue for however many
31.
years? 31, yeah.
When's your birthday?
Yeah. My birthday is April 4th.
Oh, shit. So you just turned 24.
Yeah, just turned 24.
I think you are the youngest person. I think it was Langford who's 20. He turned 24 in like March, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Youngest of the 14 humans on here. Well, when we're done, you'll be number 14.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's insane to think about.
All right. Let's talk about how's the Air Force made you better?
The Air Force has made me better because it's taught me to be a bit more independent, taking care of myself. Like, again, going back to those things, those standards that I have to uphold on my own. Like, I have to do that on my own. There's nobody watching over me. They always say, do the right thing even when no one's watching. Yeah. I could have had I had the choice to, like, basically become fat and nasty while I was here, but I didn't, and I didn't want to be like that. So it taught me to be more independent and, like, take care of myself in many ways.
Yeah.
And it made me care more. It made me care even more about air traffic control. Like, coming from Fatenma is a very slow base. They don't have a lot of ops going on. Kadena is primarily the base that has a lot of operations at its core.
That's Air Force.
Yeah. Yep. Kadena is the Air Force base. And then Fatenma is 10 minutes south of it.
Surprised Marines don't go to Kadena. It's right there. It would take way less work.
Yeah. Well, Kadena's GCA actually burned down. And the arrival function at Kadena is taken over by Naha.
Yep.
Naha Airport. Yeah. So
But even sending you guys to the tower, like an option. Yeah.
Well, you see, the thing with that is that, like, Fatenma has its own tower, so they don't really want to deal with that. Like, I think they would see that as like a redundancy, almost. Yeah. So they don't send people over to the tower there, and they're not familiar with the
training
program.
Send me to Okinawa. I'm gonna make something happen.
Yeah.
Or I get Weibel over here, and I'll send my least favorite person over. The best Air Force representative.
Yeah. I was low-key thinking about that. Like, I should talk to the leadership and get them to send people to Kadena to train over there.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
If they can get moves to Korea.
Yeah.
I'm jealous that we get 2 of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could send one over.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
That'd be really good. Although I think whoever gets sent over would be less of a student and more of a teacher.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Like, the way you guys care about air traffic control is so. You guys care about air traffic control so deeply that you guys would have more to teach us than we would be able to teach you. I think
that's interesting. You think that,
yeah.
But also think how competent and empowered and happy that's the satisfaction that person would feel going there and like, whoa, I'm the expert now.
Yeah,
like, you know what, E5 would be like, whoa, I'm teaching all these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it sounds like an even better reason to do it.
Oh yeah. I definitely keep that in the books as an idea to bring back to Okinawa.
When I get to Fairchild, I hear they're overmanned there. I don't know that. I hear that.
Overmanned?
I haven't been there. Well, not overmanned, but have more manning than the rest of the Air Force.
Yeah.
Maybe you get your gunny to buy in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Captain Herr's in charge of that place, but whatever captain. Who is the captain out there?
At
the flight commander.
Fatenma?
Yeah.
That's. I don't know who commands the station, or I don't know who the captain is over at station, but I know the captain at the detachment.
Well, regardless, that person,
Captain Engel.
Maybe that's something to be considered.
Yeah.
Like, just send someone over. We get one, because I think it's cool to work with you guys. Just seeing how you do things differently. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know Chief Clark was talking about getting people sent over to, getting Air Force people PCS'd over to Marine bases.
Yep. Yeah. The one in St. Miramar, Yuma, and somewhere in North Carolina. I don't know what the bases are out there. Miramar's
a good base to go to, although they don't have much radar experience. I don't think they have arrival or approach. So they definitely don't have approach. So Southern California TRACON takes over the approach function.
How far is Miramar from San Diego?
I think it's like within the city limits.
That's where I want to go.
Yeah. Really nice city. Go fuck yourself, San Diego. Yeah. You stay classy. Yeah. Miramar's a really nice base. When I was stationed at Pendleton, at Camp Pendleton, California. It was an hour north of San Diego, and it was 2 hours away from It was 2 hours away from LA. So I was very, very close to home. I would go there like every other week. I would go home like every other weekend whenever I got tired of being a Marine. Yeah.
Who would you say? Obviously, your favorite food is ramen. Am I right?
Yes. Yes, you are.
Who would you say out of your 6 years of military experience now that you've been with two branches, best mentor? Who are they and why? What made them special?
Best mentor. Gunnery Sergeant Christopher Moore.
Okay.
He's pretty much been with me since the beginning of my career. He was the crew chief when I got to Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
And he was actually the operations chief over at Max 4 before I got sent, when I was getting sent out here. Mm-hmm. So he saw me. He was able to see me grow as a person and as a Marine from pretty much the very beginning. And he's taken a lot of effort in order to get me like trained up and get me ready, and just like helping me be a better dude. I remember a lot my first interaction with him. This guy's like physically like swole. He's big. It's very scary.
Yeah.
And he's also got a martial arts background too, and you can see that in the way he carries himself. Like he's not a guy you want to mess with. And he was like, I remember I was sitting in the training office with him and my best friend Pena. We were both private first classes at the time, and he was in there. He was being very very stern and intimidating, like asking us a bunch of these questions. And he was like, his final question for us was like, who's gonna get qualified first? It's gonna be you or you, Pena, or you, Weibel. And I was like, I'll get qualified first. He was like, will you? I'd like to see that, you know? So he always expected a lot from us, because I think he knew that we were capable of it.
It's interesting, like just having someone someone that you kind of admire expect something from you makes you want it even more.
Yeah. It makes you want it. When you admire that person who's expecting something from you, you want to do it even more because you want to impress that person and do it because you want to earn their respect. So he had us work very, very hard, and we did. Myself and my best friend Pena, we worked extremely hard as junior Marines to get certified as fast as possible under him, and it helped. He helped a lot. He got me like very interested. He was one of the ones who like cemented my interest in physical fitness, and working out. So he influenced me there. He influenced me to be a diligent Marine. He influenced me to prioritize fitness. He influenced me to just be a better person. Like he's a very straightforward human being who has his own interests outside of the Marine Corps. That's something I took from him. Like earlier we were talking about like having your own identity outside of the uniform. He has his own identity outside of the uniform. He loves to develop games and like develop software for games and
cool.
refurbish old game consoles and sell them online, and like it's a big hobby of his. In addition to like lifting and he used to do like Muay Thai and stuff and martial arts. He's not really so much active in it anymore, but like those were some of his interests outside of work, and I took that from him and applied it to my own life. Like I have my own interests as well outside of work, outside of being a Marine. It's not my whole identity, and I think that's something that everybody should take with them.
Yeah.
And he was also just a very, very good leader in general. Like I have it written up there, but it says JJ did tie buckle, and it's an acronym. It stands for justice, judgment, decisiveness, integrity, dependability, tact, initiative, endurance. I'm listing off a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
Bearing, unselfishness, courage, knowledge, loyalty, and enthusiasm. So those are 14 leadership traits that that all Marines have. And if I could think of one person who embodies all of those things, it would be him.
Is he still E7?
He was actually in E6 when I first met him. He was staff sergeant more when I first met him as my crew chief. He got promoted to E7 at around like early 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's still in E7 right now.
Okay.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get promoted when you're that high up in the Marine Corps, on the enlisted side at least.
Is he still in Fatima?
Yep, he's the headquarters and headquarters squadron staff non-commissioned officer in charge right now.
Okay.
So he's dealing a lot with like, he's basically the same thing as, he's basically Chief Clark, essentially.
That's cool.
He's basically the chief controller over there.
Well, Chief Clark is the chief controller on like 3 other more important jobs.
Yeah, he's got a lot of hats to wear.
Sergeant Moore is that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I would say when Yui Harik gets to Okinawa, you got to make those two meet up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those two are, you put those two minds together and they can make something great. Yeah, they're good dudes.
Yep. So this is usually my final question. We don't have to end it. We're only 90 minutes in, so we still have a good 40 minutes. But something I always like to ask, and we've led into it now that I've thought about Yui Har, and I've brought up other people, Chief Clark, and it's what I call is building the perfect air traffic controller, where we take your best 5 from different categories.
Yeah, yeah.
And the 5 categories, here's what they're going to be. It's going to be best air traffic controller, most book smart, the nicest, best natural leader.
Yeah.
And then if you could have someone follow you around for the rest of your air traffic control career from the beginning to the end, who would it be? So starting with the best air traffic controller in your 6 years, who is it?
The best air traffic controller in my 6 years. Oh, man. See, I wrote someone up there, but when you said 6 years throughout my whole career, I'd have to change my answer. I think, the best controller would probably be Gunnery Sergeant Moore. Like, I've seen him control, and he's absolutely amazing.
Great leader, great person, great controller. Why didn't he join the Air Force?
He's got all 3. Well, he's a badass. Not saying you guys are not, but he's hardcore. He's hardcore, man. No, he's a phenomenal controller.
Was he your trainer?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just so knowledgeable about air traffic control, and his experience and his techniques are just they are what got me certified. And his training was what helped me. He helped me stay away from getting washed out. Basically,
it's awesome. I'd like to meet this guy.
You should. I hope you do one day. Yeah, he's a really good dude.
Get to Japan. It's quick. He's got to be on his way out soon.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. So you sounded like you had someone else prepared to pick. Who would you have picked?
It was going to be JS, Josh Smith.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I know that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good dude. I was gonna say him, because he's much the same way. Like, I've seen him control, and his techniques for controlling are just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, it was most apparent to me when I watched him, when he was helping me do like arrival and approach sims at Kunsan. His tips and stuff were very, very good. You know, like him acting as my assist and helping me out and coaching me, helped the simulations run a lot smoother. And he basically saved the day in several sims that I ran. And watching him in live traffic is very much the same. Like, his experience level is just out of this world.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially because that dude got here like 4 months after you, so he made a quick impression on you for you to pick him. You know?
Oh yeah, it's funny. The first impression I had of him was that he was a very, very goofy, wacky dude. Because like as soon
I could see that. Well, I like that dude a lot.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, because as soon as I saw him, like as soon as he saw me, he walks into the IFR room and he starts talking to Yui, who's on the soup desk, and then he sees everyone else. And then his eyes turn towards me, and he like does a double take, and he's like,
"You look different."
Yeah, he's like rubbing his eyes and shit. Like, am I seeing what I'm seeing right now? Is that a Marine standing before me? And I'm just looking back at him like, "Are you okay?" Yeah.
Are you on drugs?
Yeah. and then I give him the good old like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Sergeant Weibel," and he's like, "Tech Sergeant Smith, nice to meet you." Yeah. You're a Marine? Yeah.
That sounds just like he just. I gotta figure this out. What are you doing here?
It was so funny. That's just his mannerisms. Just his mannerisms just get me. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and that guy, we're both readers, and like a few times we've just went on like a bro date off base just to read a book and like not even talk. We're just at a coffee shop together reading our own book.
That is adorable.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But that's our thing. I'll never see him again.
Oh,
well, since he went on his mid tour,
he did. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn it, I'm never going to see him again either. Good thing we have him on.
Ooh, maybe he gets back. I think on the 30th. So
On the 30th?
maybe you could go to his hotel room and see him if you really want to.
Yeah.
You have opportunity. Maybe on the 1st, but you will have a small window.
True.
I'm gonna ask you, who is the most book smart air traffic controller you ever met? Who would you pick and why?
That would be Sergeant Jesse Bram.
Oh,
He
was my trainer.
Yeah. He's just a very, very knowledgeable and intellectually primed airman.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what he's talking about, 100%. You know, you can argue. Any lesser airman could argue the book with him all day, and he'll run circles around them. You know, and he was my crew chief when I got here, and his instruction and his motivation was primarily what helped me get through the first couple blocks of training. You know, and his tendency to provide constructive criticism, he's really good at that, because he can quote the book, he can throw the book at you without making you feel like an idiot.
He doesn't make it awkward either.
He doesn't make it awkward. No, you genuinely feel like you're learning something. It doesn't feel like you're just getting crapped on. You know, if you actually feel like you're conducting real training.
Yep.
You know, instead of hearing like, you fucking suck, you know, because there are trainers out there who are like that, and it's not fun to have those kinds of trainers. Fortunately, I haven't met anyone like that here. I think most of the trainers here are pretty good.
Yeah. I think it's at Air Force. I think people just kind of adopt to what other people around them are doing.
Yeah.
So like, if no one's being an asshole, don't be an asshole. And if someone's being an asshole, someone's probably like, yo, why the fuck you being an asshole?
Yeah. We have a good environment at work. We really do.
Hope it stays that way.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked Jesse for that. I miss that guy. He was solid. I made this joke once. It's a long story if I try to repeat the whole joke. But you know Kiara Fraser, KB.
Mm-hmm.
I was listing off good traits about every tech sergeant here. And first, Jesse Bram. B is before F. So Bram Fraser. B was before F. I wrote Jesse Bram. Great controller. Knows all the books. Nice guy. Well-disciplined. Well-mannered. Not a better dude ready for promotion. And I talked about the other people, then I got to F, Fraser. And I was like, well, all I wrote was, just like JB, but without a penis. They're like the same person.
Yeah, that's
the same person.
Yeah, man, that's definitely true. Because everything good that I could say about JB, I would also be able to say about KB.
Yeah.
Except that she doesn't have a penis, and she also doesn't play football. Jesse Bram does play football. Maybe she does.
No, she didn't. Yeah. She didn't at Kunsan.
Yeah, she did not at Kunsan.
Yeah. That's cool. And it's cool you also acknowledge her, because you guys were on opposite crews almost your entire time here. So
every interaction though that I've had with her, her leadership somehow just ends up showing through.
Yeah, I agree with that.
She shines.
Okay, so I think the next category is the nicest person in your 6 years.
Yeah, I'm sitting across from them right now. Yeah, you are the nicest person I've met so far in my 6 years here.
Thank you. 6 years at Kunsan.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, 6 years in the military. Yeah. I think the fact that I agreed to do this podcast to you should be proof of that, because like, you're very easy to talk to. I respect you as a leader, as a master sergeant of airmen, but I also feel like I can come to you for anything. You know, I'm not afraid to do that, and I know that you're going to help me out. I know that you got my back if I ever need anything, and I really appreciate that. You're also a really good conversationalist as well. This podcast is proof of that. You know, you don't really see that too much from senior leadership, or from your peers. You know, it's uncommon.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been picked a few times now for
Mhm.
these things. I haven't been picked for nicest yet, so that's good.
Yeah. Courtesy.
Then you're also it's good, but then it's also like that thing where like, well, nice guys finish last. Is this the one I want to get
Yeah.
picked for? But I am glad. It is nice to hear you think that of me, and
Mhm.
I'm grateful you picked me. You could have picked anyone, so that is cool.
Courtesy is an uncommon virtue.
Yeah,
And people should honestly be more courteous.
Yep. I think what I like to think of when I'm trying to reflect, like, how did I get picked as the nicest, is there's this Colin Powell quote, and I might mess it up, but it's like when your people stop coming to you with their problems, it's because they've either lost respect for you as a leader or they've lost respect that you can help them.
Yeah.
It's like one of the two. And so it is nice to like, I feel like I have to at least have this thing where like people know they can talk to me if they have a problem.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not there, I mean, there's no one else there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to know that, I guess that's not the ideal thing to get picked for. I am glad you picked me. I'm glad I made the list. Sometimes I'm not even on this list. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's what makes me feel good, because that's something I do try to do, like be accessible.
Yeah.
I've been putting effort towards it because I wasn't all the time, especially when I was the training guy. I was just there.
Yeah. Definitely. That is definitely important. I think Colin Powell's got it spot on because whenever I've had a leader that I just didn't respect, I did not bring my problems to them.
Why would you?
Yeah. Why would I want them to know anything about my life? They might even use it against me.
Yep.
They might use it to control me.
That's good. And that's something anyone who ever gets this far into our podcast, an hour and 45-ish minutes, is I never would do that.
Yeah.
Like, I would never try to use something against someone else. I'm just content.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Well, thank you for picking me for the nicest. That's a new one. Maybe one day I'll have all 5. I don't think I'll ever get... I guess I read books. I don't think I'll ever get book smart. I'm kind of like,
me neither.
I know just enough. Maybe I'll bribe someone to pick me for that one day.
Yeah. Here's $20.
All right. Next one is the best leader you've ever encountered in 6 years.
The best leader I've ever encountered in 6 years.
Which sucks. Sergeant Moore sounds like a good pick from what you said, but you can't pick the same person twice.
I can't.
So now you got to go with either. Yeah.
I had the person up there, but I mean, their position is a little bit more far removed from my daily duties.
Mm-hmm.
Although the person I put up there is Master Sergeant Diaz.
Diaz?
Edwin Diaz.
Well, you're going to talk about him even if you switch your pick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about both picks now.
I will say this about him. The way he talks about leadership, he understands some very basic fundamentals about what it means to be an actual leader. Like, again, going back to that acronym, JJ to tie buckle. He's a just leader. He knows how to reward good behavior and punish bad behavior. He has standards. Judgment. Again, he knows when to apply force and when to care for his airmen. Decisiveness. He knows when to make a decision. Mm-hmm. He knows when to make a decision, and he will execute that decision once he makes it. It will get done. Integrity. Have you ever met a man? He's never lied. It's as simple as that. He never lies.
Have to write that one down.
Yeah. I've never caught him in a lie. I don't think I ever could. I don't think I'd be able to, because he just doesn't do it. Dependability. He's very dependable. He's always getting the job done. He gets the job done as an AM, and whenever he's needed in a position or as a supervisor, he's there.
Yep.
Very dependable. Tact. He is very tactful, both with people above and below him. He knows how to approach an airman who may be out of regulations. Like, again, he has standards, right? He can come up to you and say, Airman, you're breaking a standard. You need to fix yourself without offending that airman to the point where they just lose respect for him. A lot of senior leaders in the Marine Corps do not have any tact. Yeah, they have zero tact. Like they try to call you out on something and they're like, "Why the fuck is your fucking shave not correct, Marine? Blah blah blah. You need to go fucking fix yourself, you nasty little creature." Like that's not tactful at all. He does not do that. He understands the proper way to approach a situation, especially if it's one that needs correcting. Initiative. He always takes the initiative. During KFT, he was a prime example of that. Like the way he controlled the final push and arrival on the day shift was.
Yeah, he could have sat out.
Yeah, he could have sat out, but he was there. He took the initiative, and it was something to behold. His controlling abilities are insanely good. He has bearing, that's for sure. He does not lose his mind in position. Again, during KFT, he did not freak out once. Unselfishness, like he bought a CAC trip and he had to work that weekend, and he literally just gave me the tickets for free. He allowed me to go on that trip, and I didn't have to pay him back at all.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He never told me about that. I hang out with him. He never told me.
He is such a unselfish dude, and he's really awesome. Courage. Courage is a little harder to talk about, because when we think of courage, we always think of like the physical courage that it takes to survive in combat. But none of us have been to combat, so we can't really speak to that. But he has moral courage. He has moral courage to say what this is the right thing to do, and then he will enforce that standard. So he has courage in that respect. He has moral courage, and he has mental courage. He's got mental toughness. You know, you can see that. You can even see that in his physicality. Like he's been on this new workout program recently, and he's getting swole, and he's getting swole. He's fit, and he wants to. You can see that in the way that he carries himself. He's spreading that knowledge to other people. Like he's always inviting people to come work out with him and come run with him. Doing that, being that dedicated to your physical fitness takes courage. Being physically fit is not just, it says a lot about you as a person. It's a status symbol. And he has that. Loyalty. He's very loyal. He's a loyal friend. He's loyal to his country, and he demonstrates that every day by showing up to work and serving his country. And he's loyal to his friends. He's loyal to the people that he serves, his airmen and his Marines. Mm-hmm. He wants us to be the best that we can be, and he wants to see us succeed. Yeah. And last one is enthusiasm. Actually, I might have skipped endurance. He has endurance. You know, he can get through anything. But enthusiasm, he's very enthusiastic. The day of my arrival certification, he and I were talking, and we were debriefing what had happened, and he was explaining it. And he's got a huge passion for what he does. Even if it might be like kind of boring, you know, like, not saying the NAM dudes are totally boring, but like some of it was, wasn't like very stimulating mentally, but he does it anyway. He's very enthusiastic about it because he knows that it matters and it's important, and he takes it very seriously, and that's how he demonstrates his enthusiasm, especially for air traffic. He's very enthusiastic about being the best air traffic controller that he can be. So he's like really all around the best leader.
Yeah, I don't know who your next pick was, but I think that's the guy to go with.
Yeah.
You can't list all that about a second guy.
Yeah, screw the next pick.
Sergeant Moore would have been the second pick, is my guess.
Yeah, probably.
All right, let's go with the last thing is you could pick one controller, and they're going to follow you around for the rest of your career. Who are you picking?
Yui. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I call Daniel Yui Hart. And look at that. You're going to go to Okinawa together.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Like I saw that question, I was like, it's already, the prophecy has already been fulfilled. He's coming to Okinawa.
What's this guy do that you like so much?
He's just, he probably would have been the second pick for a leader because he's got those qualities as well.
Yep.
And he is also just a good person. He's a family man.
Yep.
He loves his wife. He loves his kids. He is a true leader of airmen, and now a true leader of Marines, because he got me and Aracha through the rest of the training program. After JB went to the NSE office and started doing his work there, when he became the assistant chief controller, he he kind of got removed from like the daily operations of A Crew, but Yui took over, and it was like he didn't skip a beat. He was just right there. He was on it, and he sets the example every day. He works out constantly. He is funny. He's hilarious, man. His jokes are hilarious. He laughs at everything. He can laugh at some pretty shitty situations. He can find the humor in shitty situations, and he can turn everyone's frowns upside down. He has the ability to do that. He's a pleasant guy to be around, and he takes care of us. You know, he looks after us like we're his children. It's crazy. Whenever myself or any of the other airmen are going through a hard time, he's there to listen to us, and he's there to motivate us. And that is the kind of person I want to follow, or I want to see. That's the kind of person I want to follow somewhere.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Yui too. He definitely helps me do my new job by just being that effective, getting people to do what we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he handles things at his level, man. Yeah. Like he doesn't let everything just like pass through him and go to the highest levels when they don't need to be. You know, he handles things at the lowest level possible. Yep. Like I imagine that as an assistant chief controller, you're high enough up there that you don't want to have to deal with like the smallest day-to-day things that might go wrong, you know, because then you only have so much that you can deal with at one time, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree with that. I'm experiencing that, and Yui's helping me not have to do that. Mm-hmm. He's helping me do what I need to do, so I'm grateful for that, dude. Same with KB and Turner, who's also been a crew boss recently. Mm-hmm. But I'll be honest, man, that's a good pick. I like all 5 of those picks. Thank you for picking me. Yeah. Yeah. And man, so those are all the things that I could think of to ask you. But if you have things you still want to talk about, we got about 10 minutes left of record time here. Yeah. What do you got?
What are your favorite foods?
Crab legs, number 1. Mm-hmm. Ice cream's up there, but I'm starting to get away from sweets, and I know what that does to my body, so I don't eat ice cream as much. Yeah. Crab legs, number 1. Let's see. I guess, all you need is number 1. Number 1. Yeah. I guess ramen today.
Yeah, ramen is up there for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I've actually only eaten crab legs once. How do you even eat crab legs that well? Like you have to break the leg, the shell, don't you? Uh-huh. Yeah.
So you're in Korea. We're both in Korea for like less than 14 more days. Yeah. Both of us. Less than that. Crabs here are so expensive. However, they're so good. Yeah. That if you're willing to drop about $100 on a meal tonight, we can swap from ramen to that.
Yeah, maybe not, dude.
We'll stick with $3 ramen.
Yeah, I got to freaking save my money. Yeah.
Got a family to start.
Mm-hmm. That per diem is finally stopping. So.
Wait, you were getting per diem out here?
Yeah, I was. I was getting like $17.50 a day.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's a good chunk. That adds up.
It does. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. I was leaving with like $1,000 extra every month. Yeah. In my paycheck, and I was just like throwing it into savings and stocks.
Good move.
Yeah. It was really nice. Yeah, honestly, I got way richer out here.
Yeah. Well, did you get cola as well? You know?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you get that in Japan as well.
I was. Yeah, I was already kind of used to that. It helped out. But yeah, it was great.
That is cool. Mm-hmm. What you got?
I gotta say, on the topic of favorite foods, what would be your favorite? You said ice cream was your favorite, right?
Crab legs, sushi's up there. Ice cream is also up there.
Yeah. I didn't write down sushi, but that should be up there. Yeah. I put ramen, curry. Ramen is obviously up there because like, duh.
Yeah, look how cool we look.
Mm-hmm. I know. Curry, specifically curry from Kokoichi Banya. It's just like really popular. It's this really popular Japanese chain.
I've had it. Coco's.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. Oh my god. And they have restaurants in California and in Thailand, Korea, and obviously Japan.
Like America's not the only one that goes international. Yeah. Other places are figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Really?
I mean, obviously, if Coco's has gone international, other places are realizing there's profit to be made. There is a curry place, Sweet India. Have you ever been there? It's not as good. It's Indian and not Japanese. Yeah. But it ain't bad.
I have been there, and that's why I put just curry as one of my favorites because I've had multiple types of curry. I've had Thai curry. I've had I've had Indian curry, and I've had Japanese curry.
Yep.
I've had Japanese curry the longest because there was the Coco's that was near my high school. It's like 2 blocks away from there.
Oh shit!
So I've been eating Coco's since high school. I discovered it long before
What
anyone else
spice
did.
level do you get?
I usually get spice level 5.
Is 5 the same in California as it is in Japan?
No.
Yeah, there's just this culture difference that fucks me whenever I move around.
Yeah, man.
Well, how like the 3 when I was in high school used to fuck me up. 3 out of 10.
I was taking this when I was in high school. I was taking this this Korean girl on a date. She had emigrated from South Korea, and her name was Grace Kang. She's really, really, really cute. And I gotta like she and I started talking because we were like getting into arguments together in government class, and I guess that kind of brought us closer to each other. But I had a kind of a crush on her, and I invited her to Coco's because like, oh, Coco's is like Japanese, so like maybe as a Korean she'll like enjoy Asian food, you know. I know how ignorant of me.
That made sense.
Yeah,
She said yes.
Yeah, she said yes, and she
worked
enjoyed
out.
it. Yeah,
It's
but
probably like the company more than the food.
I think so. I hope that she did. But I totally messed up because I was trying to impress her, and I ended up getting a level 8. And
You idiot.
I know.
It's like, you know, when I was a kid, when I would go bowling and they would ask your shoe size, I'm like an 8.5, but I'm 10. I would always do that.
Yeah.
Just struggle.
They're just like clogging
Like
around.
they actually cared what number I said. 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my mode of thinking, and I was like, she's gonna care. She's gonna validate my manhood on the
My
spice level.
intake capabilities.
Yeah, and I got the level 8, and I totally messed up because it messed with my body so bad.
Did you
I was
finish
like,
it?
I finished about like half of it because I could barely stand the spice, and I died. And then she made fun of me for it later on.
And would she get a 1?
Yeah, she got like a 1, I think. Yeah.
Can we go like 50-50?
Yeah. I should have met her somewhere in the middle. Like, I'll get a 4, you get a 4 or something.
You still talk to Grace?
No, we don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
We don't really talk
That's
anymore.
normal.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
And yeah, that's what happens when you graduate high school. You stop talking to a lot of people that you once used to talk to. But like we follow each other on social media, and she seems to be doing well. You know, she's having fun. Last thing she did was, I think she went abroad recently for college, and she's been studying abroad in like Europe and stuff.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe not with COVID. Traveling's not very fun.
Yeah,
but
maybe not with COVID. Yeah. Although, whatever she's doing, I hope she's doing well.
Yeah, me too.
You know. Mm-hmm.
I hope that for everyone. Dude, I really do appreciate you coming on here. I'm glad we got it out. I'm glad we could like decipher the difference between someone's whole year of experience working with the Air Force.
Yeah.
I wish Fraser started a book club.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have forced you to be a part of that because it's been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're both leaving, so you're out.
Yeah,
we can't do it.
Unfortunately.
But other than that, man, like, dude, I'm glad you're on here. We got 4 minutes left till this thing cuts off. So anything you have left to say, get it out, and I'll hit the end button.
Yeah. Man, what should I say?
You got a whole 4 minutes. Actually, you got like 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
Oh, nice. That's good. I gotta say, when you're going through your military career and also in life in general, just make sure that you prioritize your values as a person above all else, because it doesn't matter if you are an admin guy working at like, I don't know, MPF or CSS, or if you are MARSOC, Marine Special Operations. It doesn't matter what title you have. It doesn't matter what you wear on your collar, how much rank you have. All of those things are temporary. They all fall away. And the only thing that really does matter is whether or not you were a good person and whether or not you had values. Going back to Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, that book was never meant to be published. It was his journal. It was his diary. He wrote it for himself. He wrote it so he could read it himself. And it just so happens that, you know, somebody found that book and they published it. And now an entire school of philosophy praises the work of that man, that emperor. And one of the most profound things that I took from that book was that a man is nothing without his virtues. You have to have virtues. You have to have morals and principles that you fight for and that you stand for and that guide you. And you have to live up to them, because people can say that they have certain morals, but if they don't act out those morals in life, and if they don't hold true to them in their actions, what they declare versus what they are may be very different. So always make a declaration of what your morals are, but audit yourself every day to see if you live up to them. Mm-hmm. You know, Chief Master Sergeant Ronnie Woods, who's also on there.
He's on there.
Yeah, I'm sure he mentioned it during his podcast, but one of his goals every day that he wakes up is to put a smile on somebody's face and make them happy.
He said that.
Yeah. If you can do that, if he does that, then he goes to sleep a happy man. He feels like he's done something. And that doesn't have to be everybody's goal, but it's a good example of one to have, you know? Mm-hmm. Every day, just try to do the right thing. And if you don't know what the right thing to do is, look at your conscience. Maybe that might tell you. And if you still can't figure out what that is, maybe even if you don't have a conscience, think about the way your actions might affect other people. Are you going to bring happiness to their lives, or are you going to bring misery? You know, be the kind of guy that brings happiness to other people's lives. And make sure that in their interactions with you, you don't make them feel poor. Yeah.
Man, those are really good final words. Usually I try to do my own final, but I'm not even going to do that this time. That was really good. And if you got nothing left, you've still got about 2.5 minutes. Mm-hmm. You got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right, yeah. So here's my last request is, we haven't looked at the camera together. I feel like a good thumbnail for the YouTube thing would be both of us like visibly showing these stupid ramen noodle things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hide all that. Let's just just look at this camera for like half a minute. Yeah. Not even half a minute. That's way too long. Just Yep. I'm obviously selfishly I'm gonna pick whatever I look best in. So
yeah.
Look as good as you can. All right, that's good. Everyone listening on Spotify or non-video people, got Morgan Weibel, Sergeant of the Marines. Hey, dude, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad I got to share this tour with you.
Yeah.
Glad I got to share training time with you.
Yeah.
And I hope the new Marines or corporals like it.
I'm really glad I got to share this time with you too. It's been an absolute honor, a huge privilege, and I don't say that about everybody. You know.
Dude, I made your top 5. I know. Yeah. I feel good. And I read what you said on my going away plaque, even though I told KB I wouldn't. I didn't read my plaque. She told me not to read what people wrote, but I couldn't help but look over and I saw your initials. Like, well, what did this guy just say?
Yeah.
And I read yours. I read hers because hers was huge. Yeah. So, dude, I appreciate you coming on here. This will be out. I'm only doing one. I'm posting one every week, so there should be enough. But there should be a podcast that comes out every week.
Yeah.
Until I land and get my shit set up in Washington, then I can start again and hopefully continue it. So you've got about 3 weeks to wait till this one comes out. So hopefully you can wait. But I appreciate it. And let's go get some ramen.
Let's do it.
Morgan, that was really fun talking to you, dude. I'm going to miss you. I'm sad to leave Korea. If I could stay here for another year, I probably would. And I know you said the same thing. Am I right? You would stay here if you could?
Yeah, I definitely would. Yeah, it's been a really good experience so far.
It has been a good experience. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate 2 hours of your time. We got to get to Sergeant McLendon's going away.
Yes, we do.
But if I could have you as the first person to close me out, what do you got? That's second. KB's done it.
Yeah.
Your second. Go.
I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this podcast. This is an awesome hobby that you have, and I really do wish you the best of success with it. I might one day.
Yeah,
I might.
It's fun.
Yeah, interviewing people is nice, and talking to them about their personal life experiences. It's really fun to like learn about the things that people have been through.
Yeah, I think I get more joy just letting other people do it and hearing their own voice and like talking to someone and I'm actually interested.
Yeah.
So, dude, I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you so
how do
much.
we close out these podcasts?
Well, Have a Tisue podcast is found on Apple Podcasts. In addition to Apple Podcasts, my current platforms are YouTube, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Breaker, and Anchor.
Thanks. You get the last words.
Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate everybody that came and listened to this podcast, and I do appreciate you, Sergeant Tisue, for having me. My experience in Korea has really broadened my horizons, and I am so glad to have had the leaders that I've had here in the past 6 years of my enlistment, and I'm happy to share those experiences here on you with this podcast. So thanks you.
Thanks for saying that, man.
Yep.
Let's go get drunk.
Let's go get drunk.